Hello everyone, and welcome to our presentation on analyzing workplace documentation and legal strategies. We are a group of 5 students, me, Rushal, Rosen, Sahil, and Devash. And today we'll present a fictional workplace case study involving harassment, retaliation, and the importance of proper documentation. Let's begin with an overview of our case, shall we? The story is set at Vision Wave Media, a mid-sized Toronto-based marketing company. Our main character is Anjali Desai, a 26-year-old female working as a junior graphic designer who joined our company about a year ago. Her team lead, Jason Miller, is known for delivering results, but also has a bad habit of making inappropriate remarks and crossing boundaries. Over time, Jason begins making personal comments toward Anjali about her look, about her dressing sense, overall about her appearance, to be precise. And also, he starts to occasionally brush against her during meetings and sending her non-work related messages after hour, which makes Anjali really uncomfortable, and she starts stressing out. But initially Anjali ignores it, hoping it will stop. Well, did it? No, it didn't. The behavior continued, and later on she confides in her co-worker, Sara Lee, who has noticed the tension between the two. Anjali reports the issue to Melissa, an HR representative, during a verbal meeting. However, HR takes no written notes or offer no action plans. A few days later, Anjali is taken off a major client project and receives her first ever negative feedback in an annual review. She starts experiencing stress and eventually takes medical leave. At this point, she decides to prepare for legal action by building a record of the events. Further on, the presentation will be carried by Rojan.
Hi, I'm Rosen, and talking about patents in Canada. Patents are a form of intellectual property that protect new, useful and non-obvious inventions. This could refer to a new product, a manufacturing process, or a machine, or even a chemical compositions, anything. The main idea behind patent is to encourage innovation. When you invent something, the government grants you temporary monopoly over it. So you have the exclusive right to make it publicly disclose how your invention works, so others can learn from it, observe it, and once the protection expires. In Canada, patents are governed by the Patent Act. The protection lasts for over 20 years from the filing date of your patent application. But there are some important limitations to it. Patents don't protect abstract ideas, natural laws, or scientific principles. You are responsible to enforcing your rights. The government doesn't step in automatically if someone copies your inventions, and there are exceptions like experimental use for research or government using during emergencies too. A famous Canadian example is the insulin production process, when it was first patented in 1920s, the investors sold the patent but for just $1 so that it could be widely manufactured to save lives. So, in short, patent provides strong protection for investors, but the protection comes with limits and responsibilities.
Hello everyone, it's me Rushal. Before looking at the details of Anjali's situation, it's important to understand how the laws views workplace harassment in Ontario. The legal framework not only defines what harassment is, but also sets clear obligation for employers and protection for employees. By knowing these rights and responsibility, we can better see how Anjali documentation fits into this strong legal case. From a legal standpoint, Anjali documentation is one of our strongest assets. Ontario, the Occupational Health and Safety Act makes it clear workplace violation is not allowed, and employers are legally required to investigate and address the complaints. On top of that, any form of retaliation after a complaint is made is also considered a separate violation. This means that if an employee faces negative consequences simply for speaking up, the law is already on your side. Now, one legal challenge that often comes up is a hearsay rule. Normally, if something is based only on what someone else said, it might not be allowed as evidence. But in Anjali's case, she hasn't just relied on memory or second-hand accounts. She has kept dated written notes, saved digital messages and email that were created right when incident happened. Because these are contemporaneous record made in the moment, they are far more likely to be accepted as exception to hearsay rule. The evidence does more than just tell her side of the story. It builds a clear and detailed timeline: when the harassment began, what actually happened, how HR responded, and how or maybe didn't responded, and the retaliations she experienced afterward. When evidence points such direct cause and effect picture, it becomes much harder for an employer to dismiss or deny the claims. With this level of documentation, Anjali has a strong ground to take her case to the Human Rights Tribunal of Ontario, which deals with discrimination and harassment issue, or simply to the Ministry of Labor. This helps in enforcing workplace safety and harassment laws. Both bodies have the power to investigate, issue order, and even award compensation. Her case is also strengthened by the fact that she suffered emotional distress and had to take time away from the work. This opens the door to protection under Ontario mental health and disability law, which prevent employers from penalizing someone because of the condition that results from the workplace mistreatment. If medical evidence supports this link, it could significantly increase the impact of our claim. At the end of the day, this legal strategy depends on the quality and consistency of her documentation, and so far, she has what many employees in her position unfortunately don't: a strong paper trail. This makes it much more likely that her case will be taken seriously, investigated thoroughly, and potentially resolved in her favor. So basically, she's in the favor.
Hello everyone. I will be talking about the risks and tools and the overall strategy behind Anjali's documentation plan. Now, in any workplace harassment situation, documentation is like the backbone of your case. It can be the difference between a complaint that gets dismissed and one that leads to a fair resolution. But it's not as simple as just writing things down. There are benefits, yes, but also risks that we need to think about carefully. Let's start with the benefits. First, a solid documentation trail shows a clear pattern of harassment. Instead of just saying this happened a few times, Anjali can prove exactly when and where each incident occurred, who was involved, and what was said. That makes her claim much harder to deny. Second, it adds pressure on HR and management. When they see that she has dates, time, quit, and even saved messages, they know she's serious, and they know this could escalate to a legal matter. Third, it protects her in the event the case goes legal, whether she files a complaint with the Human Rights of Ontario or seeks other legal action. This record becomes strong evidence. But of course, there are risks. For example, in Canada, recording audio or video of conversations without consent can violate privacy laws, especially in the workplace. That could actually backfire and weaken our case. Another risk is mentioning colleagues in her notes without their approval. Even if they are witnesses, they might feel uncomfortable or even pressured in their names appear in her documentation without consent. This can lead to a strained relationship or even co-worker refusing to cooperate later. So how does Anjali avoid these risks? She is very intentional. Instead of secretly recording conversations, she keeps a private journal. Every entry is time-stamped, factual, and written immediately after the incident, so the details are fresh. She also saves emails and Slack messages that directly show Jason's inappropriate remarks or proof of retaliation. And for witness statements, she focuses on colleagues like Sarah, who has already agreed to support her, rather than dragging in unwilling participants. Now, on the tools she used, Anjali organized her notes in Notion, which allow her to keep a timeline, attach detailed evidence, and tag entries for quick reference. She also back everything up to the cloud, so even if our work laptop get taken away or wiped, our record remains safe. To make things even more credible, she sometimes sends follow-up email to HR summarizing their conversations. For example, "Hi Melissa, just to confirm, in our meeting on July 14 we discussed this, create a written record even if HR don't take note themselves." In short, Anjali's strategy is smart, lawful and ethical. She focuses on credible evidence, protects herself from legal risks, and stay organized so she is ready for any internal or legal proceeding. This careful approach ensures that her documentation will hold up, not just in the workplace investigation, but in a legal setting too. Thank you.
Now let's take a closer look at the ethical side of documentation in the workplace. When you talk about documentation, most people focus on the legal benefit, how it can serve as evidence or how it can protect you in a dispute. But there's another equally important layer, which is called ethics. It is not just what you write down, but how and why you record it. So in this case, Angela handles the process with a high standard of integrity. She careful not to exaggerate events or make assumptions. Instead, she records only what she directly witnesses or can confirm through rival evidence. So she also avoids crossing ethical lines. For example, she chooses not to secretly record Jason's with his knowledge because even it is legal in some situations, it can erode trust. She also avoids involving co-worker without consent, as that could cause unnecessary stress, conflict, or harm to someone's reputation. So this choices shows that ethical documentation is about protection, not punishment. The goal isn't to trap someone or get revenge. It is to ensure fairness, safety, and accountability. So when it done properly, ethical documentation creates a workplace where concerns can be addressed openly and constructively. It respects the dignity of everyone involved, even when there's conflict. So, in conclusion, this case shows that detailed, thoughtful, and well-organized documentation can make a real difference in the process or in the world. It doesn't just protect employees; it also supports fair decision making, build trust in workplace processes, and strengthen legal outcome when necessary. So by understanding both the legal and ethical aspect of documentation, we can all help build a workplace culture that values, respects, accountability, and fairness. So, and at last, documentation is most powerful when it is guided by honesty, fairness, and the intention to solve the problem, not to create them. Thank you for watching our presentation. Thank you.